to another episode of Intellectual Dopeness.
Awakening Minds from Hypnosis.
Yes, we are back in the building. Don't we feel so refreshed and like, man, like, even though the retrogrades and everything, I don't know if everyone's familiar with that, but retrogrades are going on, which basically means the planets are moving backward in orbit. So they're going backward. And, you have to kind of learn a little bit more about the natal charts. Go on Astrology, cafe.com or like any of the astrology websites. And if you put in your date of birth and the time that you were born and everything, it will give you, what your moon sign, your rising sign, your sun sign, and it'll give you, it's like a natal chart alignment, and it lets you know how the planets are affecting different areas in your life. And so that's what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be talking about retrogrades and how it affects our energy, and how if we start, just keeping it in mind as we move about our everyday lives, when we may feel a certain type of way, you may want to try to reflect and see, like, okay, well, what is going on with the planet alignments, and what, because we're all connected to the universe. We're connected to all of this. So it affects our energy, just like, when people talk about the full moon and how people's moods change and they switch up. And, we all have the tendency to do that. So, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So,
yeah, so I think it's important to know that, retrogrades and astrology actually play a bigger part in our lives than what one would actually think. People hear things, I know a lot of people think it's hocus pocus or mumbo jumbo, but, like she was saying, we are connected to everything, and we are made up of more of energy, and we are energy, and we come from the stars and stardust. So it's only natural that anything that is happening out in the universe is going to be affecting us here in this physical realm, because we're more non-physical than we are physical. So right now we are in a Mercury retrograde, and Mercury rules communication. It rules travel. It also rules electronics and pretty much things related to that. When in a Mercury retrograde, I don't believe it is a good time to start contracts or anything like that. Anything with retrogrades, period, is a good time to review, to go back over what you've already done or thought about or considered. Not really a good time to initiate anything new, because you're going to come to find that you're going to have some revisions made. For example, like a while back, I had started a contract. This was really before I knew exactly how retrogrades and everything like that played out. And I watched a video, and it gave me a little bit of information, but I was just like, whatever. And I still went ahead and I started this new contract. And down the line, I had to revise that contract.
yeah.
And if I would have just not did it in the first place, I could have saved myself a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. So, all of these things play out in our everyday lives.
It's true. And another thing too that happens during retrograde, I was like, hello, it's Monkey Luca. So another thing too that what is it? It's people from the past too tend to pop up in your life during retrogrades, because like you said, you use a really good word that explains retrogrades is revisiting. You're revisiting maybe situations, things that you may have addressed during a retrograde that now have to be revisited. You have to go and you either need to learn something from it that you may have not learned from, or something just has to be revisited for whatever reason. Maybe you may need closure. There is just that's a retrograde is good during those times, for you to be reflective and for you to plan. Retrogrades are a good time to not move forward on anything new, because once those planets move direct and they start moving forward, then that is when that's the time to take action. That's the time to say, okay, you know what? I've been planning during this retrograde. Like, I got everything lined up. I got my ducks in a row. And now the planets are direct, and I'm going direct. It's time to, make it happen. And so that's how we can utilize the energies to play a part in our, growth. and our accomplishments.
Exactly. And when you know how it works and you're able to better harness that energy, it's not going to have such a negative effect. I know a lot of people, are scared of retrogrades. I mean, I used to be, not necessarily like, because every planet is able to go into retrogrades. It's not just Mercury. We just got out of a Venus retrograde, and
I think
Venus
Pluto
is related
is in
to
retrograde now
yeah,
too.
Pluto just started, and Venus is related to love and things like that. Pluto is related to taking action, and Pluto really will make you see what you need to see. So it's like with different planets going retrograde, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You just need to realize what areas it could possibly affect. So that way you can see how you can better play yourself and give yourself more patience, more time with dealing with different things and situations. That's why it's also really good to know how your natal chart is set up. A natal chart is pretty much your astrology. Everybody thinks that they're just one sign, when in our reality, we all have all different signs in our own astrological chart. So you just pretty much need to know the time you were born. You pretty much know your name and your birthplace and all of that. You enter in that information, and it tells you what planets are in what house as far as your astrology. So for me, I'm a Gemini, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and we are in a Mercury retrograde. So I could let this be twice as negative or twice as positive for me, because it's going to have a little bit more of an impact if you allow it to, because that's exactly the house that I'm in. Like, I am a Gemini, so that's my ruling planet, period. So when it goes direct or retrograde, how I decide to handle things is going to make a bigger difference.
Right, and it can be based on the fact that you have that planet in that particular house. And when you look at houses, we have 12 of them. We have 12 houses that represent the 12 different zodiacs. So depending on which house you may be embracing those certain things that planet embraces. So that's why it's really important to know about astrology and know about the different phases as far as the equinoxes and the planetary alignment and things like that. And when people say, well, the stars were aligned, like, that really is not just something, that really has meaning.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's really truthful,
Exactly.
when it's being said, because everything is all in divine timing, and everything has a certain part to play depending on, like you said, what phase are we in? Is this planet, what planet is in particular sign? And so that's why you got to kind of dig a little deeper and educate yourself about those things. And like she said, you can just start just by going and learning what your natal chart is. And it's just as simple as going to a natal chart calculator on Google and putting in that information, and it will give you.
You can get this information for free. This is not something that you have to pay for. So if you run across something that's saying, oh, $39.95, no, you ain't got to do all that. It's not that serious. It's not that. I mean, if you want to, you can, but you can get a hold of this information without having to put anything out except for, being willing to learn about what it is you're trying to learn about.
It's true.
And once you break down that, you can further understand the breakdown of how the moon works, because the moon is our closest aligning planet as far as in our system, the moon and the sun. So with the moon being right there, it's going to be affecting us more than we actually even realize. And the moon has phases. The moon has astrological phases, just like, our natal chart does, and just like everything else has phases too. Mm-hmm. So when the moon is in a certain sign, like right now, I believe on the 26th, tomorrow, we are starting a new moon in Taurus, I do believe. I have to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure it's in Taurus. And so, if you are a Taurus, or if you have Taurus in your chart, regardless if you do or not, it's a good time for you to harness that energy and the positive components that come with that sign. And you can set your intentions on what you want. With the new moon, you can set your intentions to, what you want to start, what you want to achieve for the month, what you plan on doing. Then when it reaches the full moon phase, then that's when you can focus on, completing different things. When it reaches the end phase, that's when you can focus on what needs to go. And once we take control over these different benefits from this beautiful planet and the system that we have in the universe, that's when we are really able to manifest quicker than we've even imagined.
Exactly. And another thing too, when you look at your natal chart, and understanding your natal chart allows you to understand yourself that much more. And also, how are you interacting and dealing with others around you? You know what I mean? Because they also, that's where compatibility comes into play and things like that. If you have certain planets in your natal chart that conflict with your, let's say, your significant other or someone that you're dealing with, quite frequently, then you want to take those things into consideration too, because it can actually be a tool to assist you in how to deal with certain people. Because every day is about like interacting with different people, coming together, creating things with other people. If that's a person that could be beneficial to, what I'm saying, your growth, then you want to interact with people. And so sometimes you have to just know how, like, if I can just learn and educate myself about how I can make this situation work, you know what I mean, with someone, because it's just a certain, we could just have certain things that subconsciously are making us clash that we could consciously say, you know what, let's get past this. What do we need to do and come and go past that, and then be able to continue to build on a positive foundation and a good relationship. You know what I mean? So natal charts, retrogrades, moon phases, solstices, and understanding different phases that have to do with the universe and the earth cycle and just being in tune with nature and all of these things, the universe in whole, understanding our chakras, understanding the houses and how our chakras, relate to each one of those houses and things like that, allows us to use those things as tools to better our lives and spiritual guidance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's gifts and clues as to who we are and what we want to do, because it's like, even with numerology, the numerology breakdown in your name will tell you so much about yourself that it's like, when you really break it down, it's like, damn, I can't even really deny this. And if you're seeing number frequency, number patterns all the time, like 333, 444, those are messages and those are signs from, your guides and ancestors, like, hey, we here, we got you, you're on the right path.
Exactly.
Or it could even be a number that you like. It doesn't even have to necessarily be a certain number sequence. We happen to always see 134, 413. And everything has its meaning.
Exactly.
But it's like, once you're able to really see that and put it all together, that's really what's going to help be able to understand everything a little bit more, understand yourself, because everything is set up divinely, and nothing that you come across, no information is going to be a mistake. Regardless if it serves you or not, everything is going to be put on your path to tell you and lead you where you're trying to go.
It's true. Everything works. It's like little clues, like she said, and if you tap in to those things and you use another thing too that fits right along with that is symbolism. And so a lot of those things too, when you understand symbolism, you start reading into these things, signs come up and pop out at you all the time, because in life, every given moment is a chain reaction. It's a decision that's being made, and whatever the consequence may be, or not even the consequence, but just the reaction to that in particular thing. Cause and effect. And that's just how things happen. So it's like, in every single moment is a decision to be made. And so if you use your guides to help you make that best decision, because just like we watched this show called Once Upon a Time, and they always say that they are giving somebody their best chance. You know what I'm saying? Because the reality of it is, we could have an alternative reality based on just making one bad decision in one day that could change us from going this way on our path to taking us in this direction. And it's all based on that choice that we decide to make. And sometimes we have to go within ourselves to know that we're making the right decision, so we don't get steered off our path. And so that understanding our planet alignments, understanding our natal charts, understanding who we are on a level of spirituality beyond just who we think we are when it's based on our egos and what our parents taught us we were, what the teachers told us we were, what the preachers told us we were, what society and politicians said we were supposed to be. And you know, we gotta reflect in and tapping into the universe and these these clues and these
and it's not
voodoo,
that they give us, it's not everything. Devilish, it's not evil, you're not committing a sin. I mean, we all have our religious preferences and backgrounds and everything like that, but spirituality is more of a path. It's not, people just quick to be like, oh, you over there on some voodoo, or what you over there on? No, that's the stigma that has been placed upon these types of things and rituals, because they understand that if we actually knew first of all, if you knew how powerful you are on your own, let alone with the assistance of the tools that have been provided to you from our ancestors and the universe on top of all that, they got to call that voodoo. It's voodoo for them. It ain't helping them achieve what they doing if you really know your true self and your higher self and the things that you can do and tap into simply by using the amethyst.
You can call it what you want at the end of the day, but it's all about, like you said, it's a motherfucking tool. So you got good people with good spirits, you got bad people with bad spirits.
It's what you make it.
It's what you make it and how you use it.
Exactly.
So you want to utilize these tools to better yourself, to uplift your family, to uplift the people that's around you, to bring positivity into your life, then you do it. Just like people say money is the root of all evil, or people shouldn't be able to handle guns. It's the being that's holding it that makes it that evil, or that makes it that great. You can use it to be a hero, you can use it to be a villain, but you as that individual you're making the choice.
And you have to understand that no matter what choice you do make, that is going to come back around for you and to you in tenfold. So if you okay with using these different tools as a way to harm others, then just be okay with them consequences too.
Real talk, and I feel like that's pretty much a good way to wrap it up. You know what I mean? We've covered how it is beneficial to everyone to utilize these tools, and we've covered just pretty much the benefits and where you can go to research this information, to dig deeper, because we all can be finding more and more about ourselves every day. It's like you're always learning more every day about who you are, what it is, your preferences, what you like, what you don't like, where you want to be.
And you're going to know what's for you and what's not for you simply by what resonates with your soul. People are like, okay, I don't, really know where to go. Hell, I definitely don't know where to do or where to go. It's like, but we have to start somewhere. So for me, a good start was a book called Conversations with God, and it broke down, and there's more than one part. Yeah. And Neil Donald Walsh, period. Abraham Hicks. There's so many dope beings. Alan Watts. There's so many dope people that you can look up on YouTube, and if the information resonates, it does. There's a couple people that I've used to listen to in the past that now I listen to and I'm like, nah, bro, because once you start to expand, your soul is going to tell you what's for you and what's not for you. When you trust your spirit and you follow your intuition and you know that you are guiding yourself to the highest possible, best solution for you, that's all you're going to get. So naturally, what's for you is going to come to you, and what's not is just not going to feel right.
Real talk, man. So that's what's up. Know that your gods, the gods are speaking to you every day, all the time, in symbolic ways, and until you peep this information, you're going to be sleeping on the gods. And the gods can't guide you. You know what I'm saying? So work on that. Get it together. Learn your information so you can uplift yourself and you can empower yourself and you can empower others. Okay? So on that note, we're going to send y'all peace and love.
Peace and love. All right.